Hey, brain lickers, it's Mare. Welcome back. I'm so glad you guys joined me today. You will see on the screen, this is Miss Beautiful Kylee. Kylee is here today to talk about, oh my God, the story she has to share, the wisdom that she has in this. I mean, she's young, right? But this wisdom in this woman is amazing. And just the healing that she can do. I myself have experienced it, and it was so moving and so comforting and just so, I mean, I could just go on. But
Mm,
first off, welcome, my darling. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for coming to play with us today.
hmm Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, girly. So, before we get into all the things you do, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah, and I also just want to say, it's always so wonderful to hear those things, especially coming from the background that I come from. It just means a lot to me to be at a place where I can actually help people.
Mhm.
Um, and so I want to thank you for taking the time to say those things.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're
Yeah.
very-
So I really love what I do. It's kind of the light of my life. So there isn't much else about me right now that I feel like I could brag about. But, but I feel like I'm kind of just at a place in my life where I'm setting the foundation for things, and this healing practice has been a really big part of that. It's been a
Right.
big part of my journey and just how I've been, healing myself.
Hmm.
Been having the privilege to share that with other people has been amazing. So, I'm a licensed massage therapist. I've been doing massage therapy for over 4 years. My fifth year anniversary will be in January.
Nice.
And as soon as I started even touching people in class, I noticed that I was able to get this mental map of what was going on inside of people's bodies with the muscles and the tissue.
Hmm.
And as time has gone on, it's starting to get more clear. And so I'm at the process where I'm just pruning that gift, but it took me a long time to even accept that I had it.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
um, it's just been a really cool process of unfolding um, my gifts and understanding what my gifts are, because some of my gifts were things that held me back in some other way,
Right.
or I just wasn't in a place where I appreciated myself enough to be able to look at myself through that lens.
Right, right. That happens. Hmm.
Yeah. so
Yeah.
so yeah, do you want me to talk a little bit about the type of work that I do?
Yeah, I would. It was so, yes, and for sure, because I remember the
Mhm.
last time, I think the first time, I know I met you through other sources, but when I got to go actually sit with you the first time, and I didn't really have to tell you this hurts or this hurts or this hurts. You just found everything. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, that's a one and done. She was just lucky, right? She's just and then I went to you again more recently, and you all I said was, yeah, I'm having some issues with my neck, but then you worked on everything else that also fixed it because it's all connected. And I remember
Yeah.
feeling that, I go, God, I feel like I'm floating. I just
Yeah.
felt literally like I was floating. And so yes, it's so much more than just massage. Which
Right.
massage, I'm not discounting massage at all.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
The type of massage that you do is so unique that I feel is so unique, and it's so power empowering to be on the other side of it. Like how and watching the other people that I know in the circle that go to you and they talk about you and they just talk about, I mean, that's the thing. Right now, they can't see all this light around you on screen, but when we're in your presence, there is such a beautiful energy, vibe, whatever you want to say about it, that and like I get chills right now just thinking about whenever we're all together and you're in the room, there it really is, Kylie, so
Oh,
much lightness that just comes from you that it
wow.
like calms us all down. Like everybody just gets like,
Oh,
ah.
that's so sweet.
It is so. Awesome. So that's why
Wow.
I know right now people are going to start feeling this through the screen. I just believe that. But yes, tell them the kind of massage that you do and why it's so unique.
Right. Well, maybe I'll kind of dive into a couple things with my past that might give some context.
There you
And
go.
kind of a fun way to tell the story, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I was I just learned about this story a couple years ago from a family friend that I was disconnected from at a young age. So this woman, her name is Penny, and she was like the light of my life when I was a young girl, from when I was born until I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and she saw that there was something different about me, and that's what she always told my parents. There was another family friend that said the same thing too. They just saw me as like a baby, and
Mm-hmm.
they thought that there was something different about me. And I haven't really known what that meant for most of my life.
Right.
Um, when I was around 4 years old, Penny sat with me and her mother, who was sick, and she told me this story that I kind of suddenly reached my hand over and touched her mother's breast. And I said, I need to pray over your boobie. And
So
she was
sweet.
like, you didn't know the word breast, so you just said boobie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And but the what made that so um surprising to us is that we both knew that you had no idea she had cancer in that breast.
Mm. Oh my gosh.
And
Okay.
when she said that, it like connected me to my inner child for the first time because I grew up believing that there was something just fundamentally wrong with me.
Mm.
I was generally a nuisance to my family and the people around me. Um, and I just didn't see any positive qualities about myself.
Right.
Now that I understand that I was different for a reason and that it was actually a good reason, I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to look back and see that the agitation that I might have been stirring up was because I was holding up a mirror for everyone.
100%. Yeah,
And they were
absolutely.
kind of right, you know what I'm saying? And like so many of
Mm-hmm.
us can relate to that,
Mm-hmm.
because that is what we are to each other, and
Absolutely.
especially children. And so, um, I told her, like, I put my hands on people for a job now. I get to, it's a little different. There have been a couple times where I have thought a person might have cancer and it turned out that they did. Um, but that's the extent of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell them that I had the thought. It just
Right.
happened.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, and my dad used to do massage therapy. So that was like his love language. That was kind of like the extent that he was able to really show his love.
Mm-hmm.
While I was growing up, touch was really important. And so he would work on my back and he'd work on little knots or whatever. And it just transferred over to me. And I just got it. I understood that energetic exchange when you place your hands on someone and then you can almost feel their body calling you to the places that need to be touched.
Right.
And then now that I have the experiential knowledge and the knowledge from school, kind of, not to say that it's much, but you understand the muscles, you understand like the kinetics behind things and
Mm-hmm.
the way that different parts of the body affect each other, you start to see those patterns. You can kind of take that pulling that you're feeling and then apply it to the knowledge that you know too, and then just kind
Right.
of this informed intuition
Right.
about how to approach the body. And it's taken me years to really prune it and get to a point where I feel comfortable doing it and I'm not taking people's stuff on. I'm not taking responsibility for people's pain.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just able to show up and be a safe space for people, especially
Yeah.
because, I needed that when I was going through my healing. And
Right.
so,
The last session that I had with you, and I remember my neck was having such a hard time, and I'm like, oh, it's just because I have arthritis in my neck. That's all I've heard, right, in the Western world. And I'm sitting with you, and I doze out, right, all the time. I'm dozing out,
so
and
good.
and you were saying, Mary, the breath is struggling, and so
Yeah.
it tightens up all around here. And I went, what? Like it just didn't make sense at first. And then I thought, oh my God, that's why, because the back and my shoulders and my neck are always so tight. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's the myofascial. It's just, and you're like, yeah, but it's trying to help you breathe. And so
Yeah.
that was wild. And now, of course, I'm going to be seeing my getting a lung function and the whole bit, and then
Oh,
going to
good
the
for
sleep.
you.
Yeah, and getting the sleep study to make sure there's no, because how do I know if I have sleep apnea or not? I have no
Oh,
clue.
I'm so happy for you. I hope that that gives you answers and that
Yeah.
that right? Because we're told so many times that what we're experiencing is because our bodies are faulty and that there's just
Oh
things
God.
wrong and we just have to kind of deal with it. And then we
Mm-hmm.
get to the mindset of, if I can push through this, I'm gonna get through it.
Right.
But eventually our bodies collapse and we can't do it anymore. And
This is
then what can Western medicine do? Either it's super invasive, like surgeries, or it's medications that,
yeah.
and not to say that there isn't a place for Western medicine, we're thankful for invasive measures when they're needed. But as
Correct.
far as maintaining a healthy balance in our lives, like how are any of
Mm-hmm.
us supposed to do that? you
Right.
know?
Or they blame it. Like for me, I'm 15, proudly 59. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, it's, part of getting older. I'm like, fuck you. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Right?
no,
I
that's
think
not.
that's an easy answer. That's a
Yeah,
cop out. I do not agree with
absolutely.
that, right? Like I get so many people coming in that are saying like, "Oh, my neck hurts and my back hurts. It's just a part of getting older." And I'm like, "You are allowed to age gracefully. Don't let yourself become indoctrinated to think
Mm-hmm.
you have to experience pain more regularly." You
Right.
know,
Right. That's not a
it's not
part of
necessary.
getting old.
It's not. It doesn't have to
Mm-mm.
be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. So the other part of the intuitive massage that you do, when you talk about 5D and
Yeah.
connecting that way, can you share with us? Because that's fucking fascinating. Can you
Right.
share with us what that means? Because they're like, what? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. And I think I use the word 5D just because 3D doesn't quite encompass
Mm-hmm.
the the perceptual awareness.
Right.
Because third dimensionally, it's like you can kind of see something from the outside, but fifth dimensionally, you can actually see through. It's not just X-ray vision. It's like you can see the entirety of something
Mm-hmm.
in a way. That's my understanding of it. That
Mm-hmm.
could be totally off. But I remembered hearing that once and it just clicked in my head and I was like, that's it. That's what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
um and it's like I can see when I have my hands on someone and I'm really starting to get into a meditative flow state with them. I can see whatever is in the general vicinity of my hands. So, and it's mostly it's like the thing that needs to be worked on is highlighted. And then
Okay.
I dive into I'm gonna try to come up with an example here. So let's say we're working on someone's thigh and I'm putting my hands on them. I can see that which muscles are really tight
Mm-hmm.
Also sense that there's some muscles that are weaker and there's an imbalance in like the transfer of weight in the body, and it's
Right.
making it also so that we're overusing certain muscles and underusing others, and that's creating the primary dysfunction in the joint.
Right.
If someone has
Right.
hip pain or and
Hmm.
their hips are off, but they don't really know that, they just feel it in their low back because the hips are twisted in a certain way where that low spine has to twist with it.
Right. So they just think it's all their, yeah, they think it's their back. That's so weird because my husband went to a spine doctor because he was convinced it was his back. The doctors were convinced. They did an x-ray and they went, your hips are basically shattered. We don't know how you're walking. And within like
What?
6 months later, he had hip surgery because he didn't know. We didn't know. He walked like, he kind of started to waddle after an 8-hour day, but it was, oh, it's
Whoa.
just my back. It's just my back. It's just my back. And then it got so bad that he couldn't get up from a chair without assistance. And he's like, what? He's only 60. He's like, what the
Um,
hell? And so they're like, yeah, go get this thing, Spine Institute. They look, I'm like, this is not your spine. And I went with him to the appointment and recorded the doctor saying, I don't know how you're walking. Like and showed the pictures. His hip was shattered. And now he has new hips. But,
my gosh.
yeah, it's that. And he still needs to come see you because he still needs help. But,
Oh yeah, that would be great, especially after surgery and things like,
mhm,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, I cannot. I have a client that she's been having this issue with her ankle for so long. She's like, "Oh, I just have bad feet." And she used to be a marathon runner, a triathlon, a triathlete,
Mm,
and
mhm.
she's just like, "I'm just going fast and I'm not going to slow down." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great." But
But,
yeah, and so have that balance, right? And so
mhm,
anyway, she's she finally went in to see a doctor for her ankle, and she found out she's been walking on a broken foot
holy
for a
crap.
long time. It's just not healing.
It's
But
so,
now, right now that she understands that she needs to take certain measures to offload that tension,
right.
so it
Absolutely.
it's really incredible how our pain can actually become our canary, the canary in the coal
Hmm.
that you've gone too far.
Right.
And that tends to be the story for so many people who end up having chronic pain or chronic issues. Their
Right.
pain ends up being their savior. They
Hmm.
know they need to stop because our society rewards overproduction. It does not reward rest. Rest doesn't
Right.
feel good,
Right.
you know?
Exactly. Rest is doing something. Doing nothing is still doing something because you're allowing your body to rest. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, if people could have that mindset more, it would help, But also,
Hmm.
I love that this really embracing the slow aspects of life and just surrendering and knowing that everything's gonna be okay.
Hmm. Just
Your
surrendering.
overproduction, right?
Right.
So anyway, that's a whole thing.
So yeah. You shared a story a little bit about at 22, you had a spiritual awakening. What Tell us about that.
Sure. It can be a long story. So I'll keep it short.
Okay.
Um, Basically at the beginning of 2019, I got in a car accident while I was delivering for Grubhub,
Mm.
and it totaled my car. So I lost my car and my job with Grubhub in the same day. And then later that year, I broke up with my boyfriend who I was living with, and we had been together for 4 years. Um, and I had to couch surf for a while, and nothing I tried worked out. It was either because lifestyle differences were so different that it just did not work. In a lot of situations, the relationships that I had with certain people were unhealthy, and that just really came to the surface.
Hmm.
Uh, And ultimately, just after so many heartbreaks and rejections, I burned bridges with about 30 people in like less than a year. And it brought me up to Idaho because it was my last resort. My dad already lived here with his wife, and I lived with them. That also miserably crashed and burned. I
Mm.
did not get along with his wife very well at all, and my dad told me that I had a week to leave to figure something out. And what's really funny too is that in all the other situations too, prior to coming to Idaho, I was told you have a week to leave. And I was told that probably 3 times. Um, yeah, so I was really just kind of like flying off the seat of my pants. I don't even know if that's the right way to say that. But yeah, just kind of going with the flow of things. And it just felt like everything was falling apart. And it was because that was like my tower moment. That was
Mm.
my time for everything to just completely fall apart so that I could make room for something new.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what happened. So my dad kicked me out, and I was calling around to different homeless shelters because I had just exhausted all of my options. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to carry all my belongings on my back, and I'm going to have to get used to being homeless because, I had a job. I got a job almost immediately after I moved here. It was a
Mm.
very quick thing. And I was not willing to move back to my home state to try and find another job because I was unsuccessful and I had applied to so many different places and got nothing. And so I just thought, I'm going to have to stick this out. Um, Thankfully, I did know some people that lived here, that still live here. They're family friends. One of them is a psych nurse. And I called him and I said, hey, I know you work with the homeless population as a psych nurse sometimes. Do you know about any good homeless shelters I can stay at? And he was like, oh, you don't want to do that. Just sleep on my couch. I was like,
Mm.
oh, oh my God.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
had never been so grateful to sleep on someone's couch before.
Right,
So,
right.
um,
Mm.
and it took me about a month. Um, he had complete faith in me. It was the first time that somebody didn't put pressure on me to try and show up a certain way. He
Oh.
just trusted me, and I needed that so bad because my whole life I had just been made out to be this really like I just felt so unlovable. Like it was impossible, you
That's
know?
so that doesn't even fit what nope. Mm-mm. No, no ma'am.
Well, and it's given me gratitude for, being where I am now and being so lovable. I want to be, not because I feel like I have to fill that void anymore, but because it kind of it made me have to be really aware of myself because I mean, for a long time it was for survival,
Mhm.
because I knew that if I messed up in some way, I wasn't going to get to have relationships with people.
Right.
And eventually I saw the way that I was sabotaging myself, because it was just normal for me to push people away, for people to not like me. Uh,
Mhm.
I was always too much for people. And
Mhm.
so, eventually I kind of figured it out, but really it was after this spiritual awakening that happened. So his mom, the person I'm staying with, she was like, do you want to get an apartment with me? And I was like, yes. It happened to be a 3-minute drive away from where I was working.
Nice.
And I didn't have a car, so I was riding my bike. Actually, I was
Mm.
walking. But then a customer gave me a bike once, and I still have that bike. I'm actually still living at this apartment complex,
Mm.
but I lived directly 2 units below me right now, is where I used to live. And my old
Wow.
roommate still lives there.
Mm.
He's a family friend, right? And so, anyway, that did not work out. That felt like a very unsafe environment for me. I lived with her for a year. She had some thyroid issues. She was very emotionally unstable. And it felt like I was walking on glass all over again, just trying to avoid when another blow up would happen.
Mm.
Um, and just feeling triggered all over again. You know, like I had this brief blip of breathing room for the first time in my life where I didn't feel the pressure to avoid being abused by someone or being
Mm-hmm.
bullied by someone.
Right.
And so then I left. I rented a room from this guy for $300 a month, and it turns out that he was on parole and that he was on the antisocial personality disorder spectrum, which means that he was like a psycho,
Mm-hmm.
and he apparently had autism too.
Mm.
And that became so frightening. Like I can tell you that story another time, but it was like a movie, like trying to escape that situation. Even talking about it makes me feel shaky.
Mm.
Oh, it's just like so unnerving. Anyway, I made it out. And then I got this apartment. When I got the keys, it has 444 on it.
Mm. I love that. I love that.
So anyway, I kind of skipped the part where I had the spiritual awakening. So when I was living with um my old roommate, oh gosh, there's a whole other thing that happened. I got into a relationship with someone and that didn't work out, and their entire friend group rejected me. I found out that none of them liked me the entire time I was hanging around them. I definitely sabotaged the situation. I was not a healthy person at this time. I was just like,
Right.
yeah, just trying to
Right.
figure things out. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, I just remember one night I called out to God, and I didn't really believe that God was there because I had felt abandoned by God for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, God, if you're there and you can hear me, then you need to come down here and do something about this because obviously the way that I'm trying to do it is not working. Um, it's going to take a real miracle for this life to be worth living. And I wanted to really ultimately just get off the fence and stop daydreaming about taking my life. I either was going to finally just do it, or I was going to fully commit to being alive and making life feel worth it. I remember kind of just falling asleep after that. And then this whole thing blew up with this friend group, and I saw myself metaphorically peering down this bottomless well,
Mm.
seeing that I could fall down and never get back up. And I just knew, I was going to spiral and not come back from it if I didn't muster up all of my strength and willpower.
Right. Right.
And that's what I did. I chose to rise up, and it was the first time that I had felt self-empowerment
Mm.
and just the fire to make a difference happen. It so radicalized me. It so changed me in every single aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Um, and that's when my gift started to come online. That's when I decided I wanted to go to school for massage therapy. That's when I started to learn more about myself and the way that I was sabotaging myself and
Mm-hmm.
hurting relationships. I learned very deeply about emotional intelligence. And that is kind of, I think, the thing that's just always on for me is like really deep understanding of what people are talking about and what they're saying when they're talking about their lives or their emotions. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's not even just empathetic where I can feel what they're saying. It's like I'm also able to take other information and apply it to what they're saying and draw really big conclusions, or not even, I try not to speak in absolutes about things.
Right.
Uh, because just because I've made an assumption about something, that doesn't make it true, right?
Correct. Right.
So, uh, but it's like it happens in an instant, these really deep understandings about people, and um, connections happen very easily between other things that they've said, or other situations I can compare what they're saying to. And ultimately now I feel like I'm able to listen to people well, whereas in the past I definitely couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk all the time. and, and I appreciate you giving me the space to talk so much about myself.
Of
Uh,
course.
so uh,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's I think I'll leave that part there.
Okay. So how soon after all of that? I mean,
Mhm.
it's so wild, Kylie, to even think of you as someone that could possibly be unlikable. There's just that's not because that's not who we know. If anybody, I fully believe this. The first time I heard, and it was because I know we sat with the Kathy Benz group, and then we were with Andrea, and when someone said that you're a seedling, your first time on Earth, and I was like, wait, what is like what? And then they were explaining that you're just so
Mm.
new and so open that all that stuff was all that self sabotage and everything. And
Mm.
I would have never known. I would have never believed a
Wow.
soul if they would have said that was how it was with you, because that's not who I've known. That's not who I
Mhm.
met. That's not the love that I feel in a room with you. Like that's just not. So,
And I do hear that with people that have met me after the transition happened. I
mhm.
became a different person.
God.
And there's this one concept called like a walk-in soul.
Mm,
Um, and I do resonate with that to a certain point, but it sounds a little more nuanced than that. Like some people literally feel like they're like something else just comes in and takes over.
mhm.
Literally, like nothing about them is the same. But that's not what happened for me. I was given the opportunity to really work through my problems, and it felt very personal. It felt like they were mine for the most part. There's
Yeah.
something disconnected from, but um,
Beautiful.
yeah.
So, what I'm dying to know is you dropped this little tiny nugget about this
Yep.
experience you had, and I, oh my God. Okay, this is like, gives me chills.
So good. Hmm.
You have a story about an experience with Jesus.
Hmm.
Please tell. I don't know the details. I wanted to find out with everybody else. So share.
I'm so
Tell.
happy to share this with you on camera for the first time,
Yay!
uh,
Okay.
because people's reactions to the story are so beautiful. This is a kind of story that feels alive to me, and
Mm.
everyone can feel it. And I think that's exactly what it was meant for, you know? And so I'm like, ugh, I'm getting all the,
I know.
this feels so like, oh man. So, okay,
Mm.
I grew up Christian and I had a certain idea of who Jesus is. I, up until that point, had decided that Jesus either didn't exist or he didn't love me. And that was why I suffered.
Right.
I think a lot of us can go into that. Like, God must not love me very much if I'm suffering this much,
Hmm.
but that's
Hmm.
just not true.
Right.
And so, I was considered a non-believer at this point, and I was living with the gentleman who I rented that room from, who ended up being very scary.
Hmm.
And I was in my room meditating on a certain angel number that kept kind of throwing itself at me. I did not believe in angel numbers. I thought it was a total hoax. I thought it was ridiculous until it's to happen to me. And I was like, oh, it really feels like something's trying to talk to me right now. And, it's so helpful to talk to other people that have been through it too, so they can kind of confirm that, right? And be like,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then when you look up what it means, and it relates to what you're going through, it's very powerful. And so I was seeing 333, and I looked something up online, and the one thing that stood out to me is that somebody said that when you're seeing 333, that could mean that there's an ascended master that's with you.
Can you tell everybody what an ascended master is? Tell the class.
Well, I didn't understand what an ascended master was at the time either. And I kind of looked it up, and it's just kind of like these people that you might see different interpretations from different teachers, but I'd say like the Dolores Cannon perspective is that it's somebody who's ascended so much in the physical plane that they don't really have to incarnate anymore.
Okay.
I don't believe that we're trapped in incarnation cycles like some people do, but it does make sense if you left karma behind that you might want to come back and kind of pick up the pieces,
Right.
And so these are masters that have kind of mastered this world, and they come back to help humanity. And so we see I can't, Gandhi, I think would be an ascended master. Like, who's the one that keeps reincarnating?
I don't know.
Okay, never mind. I can't remember. So, some people see Jesus as being an ascended master. I didn't see him as being an ascended master at that time, because I always thought that if you believed in Jesus, that meant that you had to do it in the Christian way,
Right.
So anyway, when I read that an ascended master was with you, I was thinking it was going to be like some Eastern guy, like Buddha, something, and I was like, okay. So I go home, I'm in my room, I'm meditating. And to this day, I've never had so much clarity immediately. I didn't have to sit there and try. I sat and I asked the question, okay, if there is someone here with me and I'm meant to know, then I will sit and I will wait to receive that information. If I'm not meant to know, then that's okay. I did not feel like I was grasping for answers. I wasn't reaching or looking for anything. I had perfect stillness. So present in the moment. And after a little bit of time, maybe a couple minutes goes by, I see a figure float down from the ceiling. He is crisscross applesauce. He's got sandals on, a white robe, and brown curly hair. And he sat down across from me on my bed, and he just looked at me. And I was like, Jesus! I was like, what are you doing here? And I was initially very disappointed to see him. And I was confused too, because I didn't believe that I was actually seeing Jesus.
Right.
And so, all these thoughts are going on in my mind. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling disappointed. And I'm questioning the experience. And then I see him just reach his hands out like this. And just offering. And I was like, oh shit. Like, if this is real, I better take his hands. And when I reached my hands out, I physically reached my hands out, and I went to go and grab his. I could feel that there was something there. So I didn't, it
Mm,
was like stopped right here, you know? And I'm just like,
mm-hmm.
and from my hands is this warm, tingly sensation that just fills up my entire body.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like vibrating and I'm feeling
Mm,
so overwhelmed with peace. And I came to understand that as being unconditional love.
mm,
And it
mm,
was totally new to me. I had not had an experience like that yet.
mm,
And so this experience is kind of like not linear. And so it's
mm.
hard for me. Well, I remember it in a linear way,
Right.
which is helpful. But I also understand that there was a lot more that happened that I don't remember. It was like I was having an out of body experience while simultaneously having an experience in my physical form. Um, there were different things happening at the same time, but
Right.
ultimately, my soul or my consciousness was taken out of my body. I don't remember that happening. I just have a memory of being with Jesus as the person that I was at the time in a place that was not physical. It was not on this earth. Um, my brain makes the surroundings look like this electric blue color, and that's like all I can see. And I'm looking at Jesus from the first person perspective,
Mm-hmm.
looking down on us. I'm like looking at him, and he's really tall. So I'm like looking up at him to my left. And I'm just in my mind, I'm like, what do you want with me? Like, how, like, you don't care about me, you know? Nobody
Mm-hmm.
cares about me, you know, just feeling like rejected already, you know?
Right. Right.
And he's just talking to me like about life and all these things. And we're not using words, we're just communicating with our hearts and our minds.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a comment about humans, things that humans do. And I responded in a way that was like a quick, witty kind of like comment about the institutions that exist and they like think that they're really big and powerful, but they're built on nothing, you know? It's like
Mm-hmm.
not real power. And I don't know what I said, but it was just like this really quick remark about that concept. And I said it in a way, or I meant it in a way that was supposed to be funny. So I
Mm-hmm.
somehow took that whole concept and just said something really simple and funny. And I didn't really think much of it. That's just how I wanted to communicate about what we were talking about. And I look over and it's like, oh, like I was like, I can't even tell you like the feeling that came up for me at that time, other than surprise, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
I over and Jesus thought that what I said was so funny that he was bent over, belly laughing.
Oh, come on. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
And it's just like uh, it meant everything to me.
Oh,
It
I
meant
bet.
so much to me that and I could tell in that moment that he was able to feel everything that I meant in what I said. There was nothing that was outside of his conscious awareness. Like he was able to perceive everything that I packed into that little sentence, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was so funny. And that's why I think it's funny, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
not everybody gets it sometimes. And so, but he got it. And you know, I'm like processing the fact that Jesus thinks I'm funny.
Yeah, that's mind blowing. Yeah.
I know. And I'm just kind of staring at him like, really? And then he looks up at me, and it's like he looks me in the eyes, and it's like he has tears in his eyes almost. And he's saying, "Oh my God, I love you so much. You
Mm.
are so precious to me." Like he just radiated the sense of like he found me so endearing and so special. And it broke me.
Mm.
I didn't know what that felt like. I didn't know what it felt like to be loved that much. And
Mm.
going back to my body, I'm just sobbing because I'm he did something so simple that made me feel more loved than I had ever felt in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it just, I went from being like, why are you here, to being like, how could I have forgotten you? How could I have
Oh,
done this?
that's beautiful. When did this happen? How soon after your spiritual awakening and now, when between that did that happen?
So the spiritual awakening happened in March of 2020, right
Okay.
before COVID hit, which I think was a really big marker for a lot of people in their
Mm-hmm.
spiritual awakenings too.
True.
And the vision with Jesus happened in October or November of the same year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I love that you can call back to it and still get the chills and still feel that love because that's what's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's funny because I've told this story so many times, and it almost feels weird to say it over and over again, but it's still an authentic telling of the story every single time.
Of
And the
course.
fact I can still almost come to tears thinking about it. It's like there's
Mhm.
something, even retelling the story is helpful for me too.
Oh yeah. And people listening, that's what I'm saying. When I knew I wanted to hear it along with everybody else because I knew it was going to be profound. Because I know you. Like I can tell the things that you share. You have a room full of these women, and we're all talking, and you'll come in and say something. We're all like, "Holy crap! What is that? Holy crap!" We're like so wise. We're like this. She's so wise, and she comes in a little tiny package, and she's so wise. So I'm so grateful that you came and shared that because I can't imagine what it sounds like for people who aren't in a spiritual state of mind or who has
Yeah.
just open minded to this kind of stuff. And I'm
Hmm.
so glad that 90% of my brain lickers are, they're just
Right.
like, let's hear it. And they're gonna feel something because that was just the whole unconditional love and never feeling that that's what he's about,
Hmm.
and this isn't like I didn't wasn't raised Christian. My dad
Hmm.
was raised Catholic. My
Hmm.
husband's Catholic. I know all that stuff and I'm not bagging any of that. It's just not for me.
Right.
That's not how I see it. And
Right.
I know what my God is and I know what Jesus is, and I'm a huge my person is Mary Magdalene. Like she comes to me, and I'm so grateful for
Hmm.
that. And I don't know if anyone's ever told you, but you have a very Jesus look about you. So when
Hmm.
he said to you that you're precious to him, there's something because you have a very Jesus look. Just
Well,
saying.
I think that that's what we're called to do. And honestly, after, I went to the church after that experience because I was like, oh shit, I guess Christianity is real. You
Mm-hmm.
know? And so it took me 3 years to find my way back out. I got baptized even, and that's a cool story too. But I ultimately realized that God doesn't need a box. That God doesn't need the container. We need the container. But
Mm-hmm.
once you actually outgrow the container will start to suffocate you. And that's how I
Right.
was feeling. And
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that Jesus does not gatekeep heaven. He actually, taught us that we are our own saviors, that the kingdom of heaven is within us.
Yeah.
And that was so blasphemous at the time. And they
Mhm.
still
Oh,
wanted to turn his story into
hmm,
this thing that deified him and made
right.
him the ultimate example that we could never actually fulfill,
Correct.
even though that's what he was calling us to do. We
Hmm.
are all called to be little Jesuses,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And you have your followers, but your followers are not, it's like I heard this said once, like you have your disciples and stuff, but like it's not about you. It's all pointing to the same thing.
Hmm.
And that's the most important aspect of it. And just like waking people up to the power and the leadership that they have within themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Oh
I
my
I
God,
love you
Kylie.
said that, because I think it used to be this topic that was so off limits and like so
Hmm.
sensitive for some people, but like we're all called to be like Jesus,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. I've said a bunch of times and I've offended people, but that's okay. It's my belief is
Right.
when I said, well, no, I am God. And they're like, what? And they freak out. I said, well, if I am of what made me, then why wouldn't
How
I?
not? Exactly.
It's like, I'm sorry, but if I'm a child of, aren't I part of? So that means I am. I mean, I am the I am. Hello. Yeah, I can go on about that. But
I could
so,
too.
so I know, and we should probably wrap up soon. But
Okay.
other than, along with the faith therapeutics, which I will make sure all your information is in the notes so that everyone can find you. You
Mhm.
have not, you have an upcoming podcast going to be shared with everyone and a book. Can you
Mhm.
just quickly tell everybody just little nuggets about that? Because everyone's going to be so excited to just come follow you. And yeah, yeah. So tell us
Oh,
about it.
fantastic. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes because I would love to have conversations like this more regularly.
Hmm.
So, um, my boyfriend Jacob and I are starting a podcast together.
And
Uh,
Jacob's amazing. He is amazing. I love that guy.
yeah, yeah, we got a really interesting story. And so part of the podcast is sharing some of our understanding of relationships based on what we've been through together. But it's called Into This World. That name comes from my friend who passed away a couple years ago. That was his name on social media. It was on everything, and I'm using it
Mm,
now.
beautiful.
So the intro is thanks for tuning into this world. And then
Mm. I love that.
yeah, so the podcast is going to be a lot like what you're doing here, just kind of talking with people about their personal journeys, giving them space to talk about their story. I will also be wanting to interview other practitioners and just kind of talking about their healing modalities. And we're talking about really deep emotional and spiritual concepts like intuition and authenticity and what it means to walk in your power, and just working with your ego and like the shadow aspects of yourself and how important that really is.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's we're trying to actually record, at least 10 episodes and before we start releasing them, and we'll be releasing them once a week, as soon as we hit that 10 episode mark.
Nice. Nice,
So
nice.
yeah. Mhm.
And your book?
Yeah, so my book is called The Inner Path to Peace, a non-academic journal of personal accomplishment. So
Amazing.
yeah, and I've already surpassed my goal of 40,000 words by 20,000. So I'm like over 60,000 words right now. And
Excellent.
I'm trying to wrap this thing up right now. I'm trying to stop adding to it, but I go to bed at night and I get hit with more, ideas, and I'm like, I gotta add that. And so,
Hmm.
um,
You're gonna do part two, volume one, volume two.
oh gosh, I know. Well,
Yeah.
so and just to kind of try and wrap this up too, it's a mixture of my memoir. So some of the things that I told you about today, described in more detail, more information about my life and my past and how I got up to my spiritual awakening, and then I
Mm-hmm.
about the Jesus vision. And then the other part of the book is uh, talking about the steps that I take to work through and navigate my mental health challenges. And throughout the writing of this book, I've actually found parallels to those three steps in the archetypal hero's journey,
Mm.
which
How
was
cool.
oh cool. I'm like
Yeah.
about it.
Mhm.
And so I break things down and then I add other kind of relevant things into those parts, into those phases. And then the last part talks
Mhm.
about consciousness and the power of our thoughts and actual scientific research to back how our thoughts impact our bodies
Oh, cool.
and how
That's
information
badass.
transferred through, sorry, my phone is dying. Um, so, and then just kind of how information gets transferred through light. And I weave together certain conclusions that I've come to, um, that take this scientific information to come to spiritual conclusions that have helped me come to a
Mm.
place of peace in my life.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I cannot wait for all the things to come. You're just
Thank you.
amazing. And I know every time I see you, I geek out on that, but I just think that you're just incredible. And I'm so grateful that whoever has placed you in our lives, because our group, our community is so much better for it. So really grateful. And thank you for coming and sharing all of this, Kylie. I just adore you. And I'm
Thank you
so
so
glad that you're,
wow.
yeah, I'm excited for all the things. So before your phone dies, we'll go. So, okay, you guys. Oh my gosh, please show her so much love. I'm gonna put everything possible that I could put in her social medias, how to get in touch with her, how to make appointments for her massage. Do it. It's amazing. There's just so much stuff coming up with her, and I think keep an eye on her. I mean, I'm telling you, keep an eye on
Oh,
her. So, you guys get out there, be good humans as always, lick amazing brains, right? And then Miss Kylie, what should they also do?
don't be a dick.
Boom, don't be a dick. All right, you guys. See you later. Bye.
Goodbye.